Thank you so much for staying with us. My guest is right here with me, Dr. Agunloye, former Minister of Power and Steel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I said earlier, Nigeria is at crossroad, and I said also, I recall the question, one former musician sang, which way Nigeria, which way do we take when you find yourself in a four-way junction? You have several options and meets confusion, but we shouldn't be confused. We shouldn't lose sight and track of what our problems are. The best way to resolving a problem is to know where we got it wrong. So how did we get to this point where there's sectarian crisis, ethnic tensions, mutual suspicions, growing insecurity, kidnapping, abduction, name it?
Well, thank you very much for bringing this up. In fact, in the telephone conversation that we have, I said we are no longer in the issue of being at the brink or at crossroad. We passed the crossroad a long time ago. We are now at the brink, and then it's either we fall into that dish or we go backwards. But before we do that, I'd like to call attention to one or two issues. We need to know where we are coming from. And I try to put this in three categories. There's a man, he's a popular man, you may know him, but a lot of people in the Southwest know him. His name is Mr. Amukun, A-M-U-K-U-N. Mr. Amukun, when he carries a luggage, the luggage can never be straight. And the reason is at the bottom where his legs are. The root causes here are dated back to 1914. We cannot ignore it.
It's foundational, the problem.
It's foundational. Something has been sown into this system since 1914. And it kept being repeated, and the truth of the matter is we try to build. And the lawyers tell us in the court all the time that you cannot build something
on nothing. But at some point, that faulty foundation will seem to be getting it right. At some point where one of the fastest growing economy in the world, at some point our education system, our healthcare delivery system, first rate, top notch, people even from Saudi Arabia, members of the royalty, come in here for services. So how come, if the foundation ab initio was wrong, we got it right at some point?
We're trying to get it right, not that we got it right.
Okay.
But each time we try to get it right, it has derailed, it has pulled back. Okay? Imagine, for instance, I saw one interview where General Abdulsalam was asked, you gave us a bad constitution in 1999. He said, look, that is 21 years ago. What have you people done? Between 1914 and now, so many things have gone wrong. For instance, the military spent a lot of the time to take away the progress which we had in 1963 up to 1966 by aborting the constitution. No nation can work without codes of conduct, rules of what to do, and so on. But we ran this country for 29 years that way, okay? And some of the guys who were young people at that time, who knew what they used to call with immediate effect, are now in Senate, they are now governors, and they are now
dealing with processes and procedure.
Yes. So then now we had one attempt to redo this in Aburi, but again it was damaged. And we continue to thrive, and they kept being damaged. At the political level from 1999, the people knew that there was no constitution when they went to contest. I remember that Femi Falana, my friend and brother, refused to contest. He wanted to be governor of Ekiti, and he protested. How can I be governor when I don't even know whether the tenure will be 1 year or whether they will put all governors in jail after 6 months because we don't know what the constitution was saying.
Some persons appear to have confirmed this. They said at the first, I think the time Obasanjo was being sworn in, nobody has seen the constitution.
Yes.
That the clean copy has not been produced. So
exactly.
It appeared we went into that republic in 1999 without many of the players and even the citizens seeing and comprehending the constitution as the grand norm.
Let me say something to you. They used to tell us in school, a stitch in time saves 9. And I used to ask, what do you mean? They explained to me. When you delay things, instead of doing one thing, you have to do 9. But just imagine each one of the 9 is one stitch. And each one will have saved 9. So we are now in a cascaded mode. There had been insincere, half-hearted, hypocritical attempts to correct the 1999 Constitution. Well, is
it by way of amendments?
By amendment or by fresh with the people Constitution. Okay? But all the attempts had failed. So at the end of the day, we are now seeing what we call the outcomes. That's what we are seeing. We are seeing kidnapping, we are seeing people who burn villages, we are seeing people who arrest, accuse one another. Okay? In my own house in Erishu, Fulani people have been staying there before I got to that, move to the house. And everybody lived happily. But today now, there's a problem. Okay? So that had been the situation, and we see what we call the symptoms. We see the symptoms in the Kajola. I like the Kajola Okeala example because that was where Chief Olufalaye's farm was continuously destroyed and still being destroyed, as we say. This is where he had had a farm for 37 years. Children of laborers who were in that farm had become medical doctors. I met them. Okay, so this is 37 year, this is now maybe 39. Okay, but they kidnapped him, they macheted him, and they took ransom and they killed people on his side. It was 3-4 years ago, but it has not stopped. It is gone now to Shibok, Igogo, Kagara, and Irolu. They understand they are using helicopters to throw bombs now. It's even in the state of the president of Nigeria.
Now they say for surveillance, some say for training.
So then now when you come to the economy, Nigerian government does not like to be challenged or to be abused. So we will use the word that they prefer, fragile economy instead of failed economy. Okay? But by all standards, 1999 Constitution, the first thing it says is that government will provide security and welfare. Has not been done.
So that amounts to failure.
Government cannot project authority over its domain. So all these things we're seeing by Boko Haram, by bandits, by herdsmen, are actually attacks and challenges on the federal government of Nigeria. We see some of them, like in Shasha, when houses were burned, people were killed, people were raped, people in Benue State will not understand what we are saying, people in Niger State, okay, they know what they are saying.
Now,
but the main person that is being challenged is the president of Nigeria himself. Okay? But it doesn't seem to understand. He thinks that ethnic violence in Olu or in Shasha or Shibog or Kagara, okay, is for those people. No. The herdsmen or the bandits or the Boko Haram or the criminals are actually challenging the authority of the federal government of Nigeria. But they have not been able to rise up to it. Then of course, they also don't want to hear about widespread corruption, but there's widespread corruption, there's widespread insecurity in Nigeria. Okay? Then of course, we also know issues. People are calling for restructuring. People are redefining the destruction to mean let us go away. People are coming back to say restructuring means too many things, but people are talking that you need to restructure. In
So
Ibadan,
are calling for a new constitution.
of course, there must be. You cannot base anything on something or nothing. Okay, there is no constitution. There is no code of conduct. The 1999 constitution is defective. It is not we the people constitution. To show you that I'm right, there have been attempts to modify it, and those attempts have failed. If it was perfect, why did they want to modify it? Now, for us to get to the solution, it has to be modified.
It's difficult to get a perfect constitution. So it's an organic document that should be continuously amended.
Exactly. But if the primary document is so defective, you will be doing first amendment, second amendment, 100 amendment, and you will do 300 amendment for a 25 paragraph document. So let us redo this thing, okay? When people are asking to leave, then there are the influx of foreigners. Since I was in Ministry of Justice in Abuja here, at that time, if you travel to Bauchi or to Maiduguri, okay, the armed robbers, in quotes, who challenged you at that time were not Nigerians. And they were ready to cut your hand just to take your wristwatch. And after they have taken all of that, they give the passengers in the vehicle parting gift of pushing daggers into their stomach. This is the non-Nigerians. But now, the non-Nigerians are everywhere. I don't believe that those ones who were causing trouble in Igagon, in Oyo State, or in Shasha, okay, are the people who have lived with us for years. Some of them were born there. Some of them are my own people. Yahoo, for instance, worked with me, went to school with me, and became a graduate, and is now a managing director of one of the big private companies in the maritime services. Okay, he is Fulani now, but was born in Ibadan. So he's an Ibadan man, so to say. So they are not the ones causing the trouble. There are a lot of criminals who have come into the country. Then, of course, I must not forget, there is a feeling that some people have that a group of Nigerians are actually trying to implement a political conquest. I put question mark on this because it's neither here nor there. But every day we see what is happening as if it's pointing to that. People want to take over other people's territory by all means. People want to dominate over other people by all means. And this domineering attitude, impunity, had been sown into the system from 1914, had been perpetuated and re-perpetuated from 1966 coup, and it continued for 29 years, and it went again being inherently planted in the 1999 Constitution. This has to go.
So it suggests if the problem is foundational, the solution should also come from the foundation.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll go on a break. When we come back, we'll interrogate this further. Please do stay with us.
When the issues are critical, germane to Nigeria's democratic process,
politicians can only be seen maybe on television by judges. They should not intermingle, because once you intermingle, then you destroy the systems.
when the personalities are big, important to national discourse.
When you reach certain stage of power and you demonstrate arrogance to the extreme, there's no other thing that will happen to you other than to fall.
When the developments are seemingly complex, confounding like a 1,000-piece jigsaw, that's when we require bold, sound, and analytical minds to help put the pieces together. Jigsaw with Benga Arileba, now showing Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. on AIT. Jigsaw, demystifying the issues.
Thank you so much for staying with us. My guest has been Dr. Agunloye, former pioneer commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, former Minister of State for Defense, of course, former Minister of Power and Steel, presently a politician still with the Social Democratic Party. How is your party faring?
SDP, I will come back to this studio to talk about SDP.
Some other time.
But Nigeria is in flame, and I don't want the coloration of partisanship.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Now, let's come to the solution. You identified the problem as foundational, and I said, does it then suggest that the solution should also be foundational? If it is, you talked of the constitution and efforts to amend it not yielding fruit. Should be a new constitution? We'll go through the entire process of evolving a new constitution.
Well, the solution has to be foundational as well. But
that's attacking it from the
roots. It has to be strategic in the way it's been done. And I talked about the station time, which had led to 9 stitches to be done, and each of the 9 had led to another 9, so we have 81 stitches. In fact, really, we have multiple stitches to do. I also need to say something about ransom. We should stop asking government if they paid ransom. Because if they paid ransom, they will not say they have paid.
Just as I was asking whether they release Niger State citizens who were abducted while traveling, whether ransoms were paid.
They will not say so. And the reason why they will not say so is okay. They don't want to encourage another person to go in, but the guys who received money knew they received money. Okay? Also, they don't want to show the negligence on their part or the deficiency on the part of government. Or more importantly,
by accepting that ransom was paid.
But the failure. Why do you need to talk about ransom? Why do you do kidnapping? If the city is all right, if government is doing what it's supposed to do, okay? But it is the government failure that we're seeing that bandits are challenging. A bandit holding AK-47 is challenging the federal government. And of course, he's challenging Oyo State government, challenging the Ondo State government, challenging Adamawa State government, okay? So there's failure in leadership, failure of government, and then now government now scamper around to see what to do, and then now, the moment that they start to talk to them, they've already considered, okay? They've already elevated them. Maybe we see them on television, okay? Posing with bandits, okay? Posing with all sorts of people. Some of them are even trying to give them reason. They're calling them freedom fighters and so on. They're criminals, okay? So we also need to talk about self-help.
But let's get first, we'll come to it. Let's get back to the issue of our foundational problem and the solution. Is the solution new constitution? If it is, how do we evolve it? Should we involve the National Assembly? Should we fall back on old conference report, or do we convoke a new one?
Gentlemen, this is a 30 minutes maximum 45 minutes program. Okay? I can just say to you that I served in this same government of Nigeria, okay, where Uncle Bola sat down, Shubolage, okay, because the president at that time, President Obasanjo, agreed on a constitutional amendment, and then now, and that there must be a conference. And he wrote them all out in a red pen, about almost 17 pages. I was the one who turned it into what other people can read, costed it, and submitted it to government. They didn't do anything. 2 years after, Professor Yoweri called me because they were looking for that document. They want to do it again, even though they didn't do it the last time. Okay, I got the document, I gave it to them, they did not. Then in 2013, 2014, there was something, okay? We cannot say exactly what route they will take, but we know that one of those issues is they need to amend the code of conduct and determine why we come together, on what basis do we live together, and how will it be. Okay, those who are asking for restructuring and separation, They really don't say we don't want to be Nigerians. We say we're not happy where we are, so maybe we want to leave. Maybe we want to redo the thing. So let us go back to that, and then they get people who will give them details of that.
Okay. You said earlier negotiating with terrorist bandits is already adequate enough concession that shouldn't have come from the state.
Well, not that it shouldn't have come, because sometimes you don't have any choice. Things have gone bad, so you use some means to do it. I said that is also part of ransom. Okay, so let them don't put our emphasis on ransom anymore.
Monetarily.
The people who are doing it, they are criminal industrial complex. They are doing it for money. It is lucrative. They do it today, they get something. They do it again tomorrow, they get something. Okay, so it's lucrative. So they know what they are doing, and they are doing it. Okay, so it is what solution that government must do to stop that process. Then, of course, when you talk about solution, self-help is always there as a last result. And when people do self-help, they take law into their hand, they try to find for justice by themselves, and then usually they break laws. They do things upside down. But self-help, again, whether it is instigated by military officers or by governors or by circumstances, is another evidence of leadership failure. It's another evidence of government failure. When government has failed, okay, he said go and grow your food at the back of your house so that you can have something to eat. They forget that I live on the 17th floor in Maryland.
1004 floors.
I have no back of my house. So, but there's leadership failure in Nigeria, and one of the things we need to confront.
We are seeing more of these quick notices flying around. So it appears the discontent with the system and loss of confidence is becoming widespread, and it's dangerous. We shouldn't continue on that plank. It then means that the government should rise up to the occasion, encouraging and making it known to Nigerians that we can protect you. There's no need for you to resort to self-help.
We will clap and rejoice and feel that we're in a country when that happens. It is because of the absence of that. That has not been. For instance, governors, we look up to governors to become chief security officers, but they're not. Their hands are tied. So we need to do something. We need to, I'm more anxious to talk about the solution, okay, or which way than to be worried about the problems, because these problems are widespread. It's everywhere, in every state, and almost in every community. It used to be okay to travel Ibadan to Lagos on the express road, but now you have to be afraid that you may be kidnapped.
Okay, let's see what our viewers are saying on our Twitter feed. Chidozie Fred says, when governors of Zamfara, Bauchi and Niger states, including Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, are blanketing and protecting the dreaded bandits, even advocating amnesty for them, Governor Uzodinma of Imo State is ordering the military to deal with the ESN, who are not criminal. And he concludes by saying, this is an aberration. Chukwu Simon said, God bless Dr. Lu Agunloye for saying the truth. The solution is also in the problem. I mean to say the constitution should be the conference of, okay, making reference to the 2014 conference, he says Nigeria will be great. You want to have your quick reactions to that?
We need to go back to the 2014 Assembly Constitutional Conference, because it is expensive both in money and time to convey another one, and then it was a unique one because there was general consensus. I remember that those details, Okay, and then we also had the old men and the young men also together in that assembly. So we need to go back there, modify whatever we want to modify there, and let us have another constitution which can be a good basis, and we start to work from there. But again, I think we need to look at a holistic solution space, okay, of which new constitution is only part of. So we want to talk about the core structural defects. Now let us talk about what we say that the way out for Nigeria.
Okay. I'm trying to see if we can get additional tweets for your response. I'm tempted also to drag you away from national issues. To also take a look at some other. You said this is not the time for partisan politics, so we won't go into SDP affair. But you were the pioneer chairman of Road Safety Corps.
Yes.
So how will you rate the organization? Is it along the lines of the spirit and letters and the ideals for which it was set up?
I will situate that in the new complex to show you where we have all got wrong. When I was head of Road Safety Commission, I did marvelously by having 105 formations. At that time, it was more than the formations of any of the paramilitary or military system.
So that's a national network.
Yes. But now, there are 1,150. You can see the difference. But the point is that Nigeria had continued to expand, but we have not done anything about that. All the Boko Haram, we knew how Boko Haram was contributing 10 kobo per day in those days only somewhere in the northeast. Okay? But we did not do enough. We knew how bandits started to do armed robberies, tried to do hijacking, tried to do kidnapping. We did not do anything. Now we have 9 times 9 times 9 stitches to make. So let us go over that. And then one thing that I can say about road safety is that unlike similar organizations, they have striven very hard. They continue to strive. It's like motto, let us strive to try to maintain discipline, to try to maintain the devotion to the job of their mandate. Okay?
No wonder then it's being ranked as one of the least corrupt institutions in Nigeria.
Certainly, there's no doubt about that. But we have not done enough in every aspect of Nigeria. Okay? You remember at one time, road safety people were kidnapped. Some of them are killed randomly.
In Nasarawa State.
Then I've seen people who are causing road safety people try to beat them. Okay? It's a lawlessness in the country.
There were also moves about arming the road safety, contributing, protecting themselves.
I want to talk about solution to this structural defect.
Okay,
let's go there.
Ayolacha says having constitutional foundation as posited, whereas all the components of government must compromise to make a new constitution. All components of government must compromise to make a new constitution. That includes the president, the National Assembly members, the governors, the political class. Do you see such a consensus coming?
If Nigeria is going to exist, yes, it has to come. It has to come. You cannot run on nothing. And things are proliferating and expanding in exponential form, and government is not able to do those things. They're not capable. Listen to the governors. They are talking. In fact, one said can carry AK-47. One said one governor blaming another governor. Then in Ondo State, Keredolu said this, he said he was right. In Oyo State, Governor Makinde said the same thing, okay, he said he was wrong. We need to go back to basics. We need to go to fundamentals, okay? We need for once to stay behind our leaders and say, leaders, we have problem, provide solution. Do your work. Do your work. Then federal government must release some of those things that they have put on their chest. Like state police. It's no business There's no business not having state police in 2021 where insecurity is widespread in Nigeria, where nobody knows what to do. There is no reason why governors cannot be full and comprehensive chief security officer of their state.
We know these things. A lot of people have said that's the way to go, but
when I say no, I'm not about food dragging. I am saying that the governors are lapdog because of the deficiency in the system. Empower them. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, now
empowerment. Don't be afraid that Governor A is going to turn that power on his people. Okay, all right, but he must have that power to save his people before he can turn it on the people.
But we should put some safeguards, protective safeguards.
What safeguard do you have for federal? There's not. Federal can arrest you for having your mustache.
That's what my friend told me was, if the federal police can be manipulated for political purposes, what is wrong if the states...
And then we are not talking about that. There is crisis. There's wahala on ground. And I say, please give me the AK-47 either in as a weapon or as a figure of speech. And you say, oh, if I give you AK-47, you may shoot your houseboy. Technically, it's correct. But people are banging my door, trying to break it. Shooting my houseboy is not what is on the ground. Okay? So the point is that we need to do the correct thing. They must empower the governor properly. They must quickly enact state police so that they have it, and the police who are not from that state will go back to their state, okay? Because that's what state police is about. They must allow them to recruit more people, and there is no time for fancy at the moment. All the money which we have must be spent on security. And you need to understand that there's a tie between three things: security, economy, and politics. Okay? Anything goes on with any of those three, anyone,
any of the tripod,
yes, the system will collapse. The politics is the one that governs what does this, what does that, and it is the most deficient part because of insincerity, because of self-aggrandizement, because of selfish ambition, okay? But the insecurity has been there and everything is collapsing. Everything is collapsing. And government knows that, and government must rise up to it. The president needs to rise up to the challenge, because all this kidnapping, all these assaults, all this unrest, all these ethnic tensions are direct assault on President of the Federal Republic.
And perhaps the sovereignty of Nigeria as a country. Now, I mentioned food dragging earlier. Food dragging in the sense that attempts to amend the constitution to enable some of what you have put on the table. Either
show the sign of the second one.
Okay. They will do it. My producer will show it.
Okay.
Going back to your tripod, security,
security, politics, and economy.
And it's just like a table with a tripod. If one is impaired or absent, then the table will struggle to...
We call it a dirometer in my place. There is no adiromeji. There is no tripod with two legs or tripod with one leg. Once you hurt one of the legs, that's it. Okay? So it is then now, even in the court, they sentence you on count one for 10 years. This one for this. They don't really run them consecutively. They run them concurrently. Some of these things have to be done concurrently. Okay?
Now it boils down back to my question of food dragging. There are roles for the president. We saw in the chat we share with you from you. We saw roles for the National Assembly. Who is to drive that process in good time? Because as you mentioned at the beginning,
Mr. President,
we are the brinks.
Mr. President, he has a desk like this. I think it's a big one, but the buck stops, bam, in front of him. everything. If your wife is not cooking good food in Navy, you call president. So everything stops on the time of the president. But of course, there's devolution of powers, so that president doesn't have to take a call on where there is fire in Abeokuta and where there is kidnapping in his own home state. Okay, but he has to take the lead because he sits as the president of the Federal Republic, and he is being attacked by Boko Haram. All these things are attacking his own supremacy, his own ability to work. So he, as number one solution, president needs to rise up to the task of president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay?
Okay. From our Twitter feed, 2 tweets. Jamil says there's nothing hard about fixing Nigeria. Some group of people don't want that to happen. Simple. CK Alam Z in Abuja says Obasanjo from South was Nigeria's president for 8 years. Jonathan also from the South for 5 years plus. Total is almost 14. Why didn't they carry out restructuring of the Nigerian constitution? He made mention of efforts by former President Obasanjo to initiate the process. We were part of it. Perhaps the political will wasn't strong enough to drive it to fruition.
Is this being shown on the television?
The tweet?
The slide?
No, yeah, we shared the slide earlier while we were discussing.
Okay.
But not now.
Okay.
You want us to return it?
Oh, the viewers must see the slide.
Yeah. Okay, well, the producer will make it available.
What I'm saying, are the viewers seeing the slides?
Yeah, they've seen it before.
Oh, okay.
So, but we'll repeat it.
Okay, all right.
From now.
Okay, so but what we're saying is that
it's there now.
Okay.
They've seen it.
All right. Okay, good. But the point is that we cannot set the time frame and timetable in a short program this way. We can only give the direction and say let's be done this way. And I also believe that there are other Nigerians who have a probably more elaborate plan, which they can use this as part of the input.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we're talking about way out. We first need to understand that we are not at the crossroad. We passed the crossroad a long time ago. We are at the brink, and at the brink, either we descend into civil war or we descend into integration or a mixture of both, and there is chaos all over the ground. But we could reverse. I was happy to hear Governor of Kaduna in Lagos at the weekend talking about reversing. You can go move backward. But there are 3 sets of things that must be done. One is the fundamental one. In the fundamental one, we must set the basis of what we are doing together. Okay? Call it assembly or constitutional conference or whatever, or going back to 2014. Okay? Anything that can help you. We must destructure. Ibadan man says, when you have a bag that has problem, you pour it down and pick it back again. Right?
Our viewer is saying, if Obasanjo failed to restructure, Jonathan failed to restructure, why do we expect Buhari to restructure?
Because Nigeria is in flames. Because there's more widespread insecurity now than at any time. Because there's more widespread corruption now than at any time. Because there is more now strife across the country, including his home state, and everybody is benefiting from criminality and kidnapping, harassing, rape, and so on. That the nation is becoming largely ungovernable. Okay, in Delta State, a senior special advisor of the governor was killed. In Ondo State, the wife of the chief of staff was kidnapped. All sorts of things.
In Niger State, we know what's happening.
You know that Niger State thing is also an eye opener. Look at the school. Did you see the school? Did you see the secondary school? Can any knowledge enter brain from that?
It's very difficult. They may end up being depressed by the environment more than
then how will children feel?
And then they're supposed to inculcate.
How will children be? I was in secondary school in the body house that was in the bush. My daughters were in body house in a government college somewhere, and they were in the bush. Okay, when I was in school, animals used to come in, snakes, and but we never thought somebody would come and take us from the place.
a different challenge this time around. I have to thank you so much, Dr. Agunloye, former Minister of Power and Steel and former Commissioner of the Federal Road Safety Corps, for coming out with your well-researched issue, treatise, as it were, on Nigeria's problems and the way out. Thank you so much. We expect those in authority to take it up from there.
Thank you very much.
That's it for today. My name is Amechi Anapwe. Stay with us tomorrow when we come your way. Then, till then, keep safe.